Welcome back everyone, I'm AntasG, and for today's video I will showcase you a PvP build which is not only super strong, but it's so much fun to use, and it will definitely tilt your opponents in open world PvP. In this video I will give you a full in-depth guide to this build, showing you the attributes, the perks, and the gems you will be using on your armor and your weapons. And finally I'll show you some PvP content for this build. Also, for your benefit, I will show you the order in which you want to skill both your weapons, starting from level 1 all the way to max level. So stay tuned till the end, and most importantly, enjoy the video. For today's PvP guide / build, I will showcase you the Ice Gauntlet and Rapier combination, which is deadly, ladies and gents. This combo cannot be taken for granted, because you can do some spicy combos and output a lot of damage. Both the Ice Gauntlet and the Rapier boast scale of intelligence. However, this is a secondary attribute for the Rapier. So when it comes down to choosing your attributes, you will do as follow. You want to start off by putting 50 points into Constitution to have the first bonus available to you, which is all healing consumables last 20% longer, which is very important in PvP, especially with this build. Next, you want to put all your remaining points into Intelligence. Of course, the higher level you become in the game and the better your gear score becomes, the more points you will have in Intelligence. But the main aim is to get to 250 to have the bonus available to you, which is a plus 30% duration to damage over time spells. This will synergize really well with your Ice Gauntlet abilities. If you gain more points as you progress in the game, I'd recommend giving yourself an additional 50 points into Constitution for more survivability, and then putting the rest into Intelligence. But don't be worried about that for now, as you will only reach that at max level and when you acquire really good gear. Now let's move on with the armor that you will be using for this build. Obviously, with the most recent changes in the open beta, they nerfed armor by reducing the medium equip load threshold from 15 to 13 kilograms and the heavy threshold from 30 to 23 kilograms. This makes it harder to mix and match armor, like before in the closed beta. However, for this build, I like to go with only light armor to have access to that dodge roll and be able to be as mobile as possible, since you will be dodging incoming abilities and do a full rotation between weapons and their abilities for a maximum damage output. Now, the perks that you use on your armor can vary, and it's very important thing to keep into consideration is that weapon perks can be placed on armor, but they do not stack. However, other perks such as cooldown reduction or critical strike resistance do stack. Therefore, the best perks I found for this build are cooldown reduction perks, such as Refreshing Move. So light and heavy attacks reduce active cooldowns by 1%. Then you have Refreshing, which reduces your cooldowns by 1%. Then you have Refreshing Evasion, which reduces all cooldowns by 0.5% after exiting the dodge animation. Other perks you might want to take are Iced Refreshed. This reduces all your cooldowns on a killing blow by 20%. And then you have Healing Tomb, which makes you gain 10% health after exiting Entombed with full mana. Next, we have our jewelry perks. For the amulet, you want to either take Divine, which will give you 5% more health from all incoming healing effects. Or you could take Mana Recovery, so when you are hit below 50% HP, you gain 50 mana. This perk can come in really clutch sometimes, but don't forget there is a cooldown on it. For the earring perks, you want to take either Mana Toast, so when you use a health potion you also gain 10% mana. Or you could take Regenerating, so you gain 0.25% health back every second. Then our last piece of jewelry is the ring. And for the ring perks, you 100% want to take the ice damage perk, so you can do 3% more ice damage. Now that we're all done with our armor, our jewelry, we can move on to the main part of the video, and that's the build for the weapons and the abilities you will be using for your PvP endeavors. First, the Ice Gauntlet. The 3 main abilities you will take are Ice Storm, Ice Shower, and finally Entombed. Then the most important passives you will take for this build are Cold Reach. This will increase your light and heavy attacks by 15% to targets further than 15 meters away from you. This is very strong, since your aim with the Ice Gauntlet is to keep a good amount of distance between you and your opponent and do some good damage with your light and heavy attacks. Now remember, in this game, you want to not only rely on your abilities, but doing light and heavy attacks is most of the time gonna be your main source of damage output. The next passives that you want to take are Critical Rejuvenation. This gives you 15 mana back when triggering a critical hit. Then we have Critical Frost. You increase your critical chance by 20% when an enemy is in a frosted area or has frostbites. Then we also have Refreshing Frost. You reduce all your cooldowns by 20% when casting an ability in a frosted area. Then lastly, the ultimate you will take is Ultimate Chill, which basically amplifies your damage output since ice abilities chill targets, increasing ice damage by 35% for 3 seconds. Now let me show you the skill order you want to level the Ice Gauntlet, starting from level 1 all the way to its max level. It's important for me to know that all these abilities and passives work in tandem with each other and synergize really well with the perks and the gems that we take. Speaking of gems, let me show you the gem you will be using on the Ice Gauntlet. For the Ice Gauntlet, you will use a Malachite gem, which will give you a bonus 12% damage against targets with an active crowd control status. This synergizes really well and perfectly with the Ice Gauntlet and all its abilities. But if you want to go a different route, you could also take the Moonstone gem, which will give you a 24% damage bonus when your enemy is below 30% health. Now that we have fully covered the Ice Gauntlet, let's move on to your secondary weapon, which is the Rapier. You will mainly use this weapon to gap close or escape from a bad situation, or hunt down low targets which are trying to get away from you. Apart from that, you will mainly use your Ice Gauntlet since that will be your primary source of damage. Anyways, let's get into the build for the Rapier. The abilities you will use are Riposte, Evade, and Flesh, which is your gap closer / your getaway ability. This is how your main build will look like and how you will level your Rapier from level 1 to level max. You will basically max out the whole Grace tree and only take the one passive in the Blood tree, which is Refreshing Strikes, which will reduce all your cooldowns by 1% on any hit that you do. Then, the gem that you will put on the Rapier is definitely a Moonstone gem, which will give you a plus 24% damage when your enemy is below 30% health. Like I mentioned earlier, you will mostly use your Rapier to hunt down low health targets and gap close with Flesh ability and kill them off fast. Now that we have covered both builds for both of these weapons, your armor, your perks, and its gems, let's get into the fun part of the video, which is how this build performs in PvP in the open world. Enjoy. Like you can see, this build is super overpowered when you learn its core mechanics and when you have optimized it with perks and gems. Also, you must remember to keep your distance and make the enemy run to you and not vice versa. This build only gets stronger the more mastery you have into your weapons and the more passives that you have with it. Hence why it's important to max out both of these weapons out as fast as possible if this is the build you will run in New World. Well, that was it for this video, ladies and gents. I really hope you enjoyed this type of video. If you want to see more of my content, don't hesitate to support me by subscribing. Also, let me know in the comment section down below which build you will be using on the release. Like always, it's been my pleasure and I'll catch you in my next video. Peace!